This is Kyle McCord, and you're listening to Austin, Felix, and Matt on the Devy Debate.
Welcome to the Devy Debate. All right, boys, are we ready to debate? Austin, you tweeted something, girl. You tweeted your running back rankings. Explain yourself.
Boy, that escalated quickly. I mean, that really got out of hand, fellas. Who jumped up and...
That's Austin Nace.
Who is going to be that guy? And for me, Bijan Robinson is still going to be that guy.
Back to the ground with Robinson, who spins and then tries to bounce it. A stiff arm, another one as he rides it, keeps his balance. They're going to say stepped out, but
I'm Felix Sharp. I know you didn't think that we would get through this episode without mentioning the name one Zach F. Wilson.
Screener draw. Oh, Wilson is going to uncork for the end zone, and he drops it in beautifully. And it is his roommate Dax Milne on the touchdown.
That's Matt Bruning.
G. Scott Jr. Obviously, I waxed poetic about him on the last episode, so I won't do that again here.
And to stop it, Fields on the carry. Watch out! Justin Fields. Hello, Columbus. 51 yards.
Bruning, are you ready to go head-to-head with me?
I am.
Got to get my popcorn out here. Hold on.
Got to continue. I got it. Kyle McCord is going to end up winning the job. He's going to be rated higher.
Well, I'm not nearly as passionate about what I'm about to talk about.
Our apologies to Kirk Herbstreit. We ran out of time. We'll get him rescheduled soon. And for Matt Bruning and Austin Nace, I'm Felix Sharp. Good night and good luck. It's 9:30 Eastern Time, the time zone that's shaken and not stirred. That means it's time for the Devy Debate, brought to you by CampusToCanton.com. That's Matt Bruning, that's Austin Nace, and I'm Felix Sharp on a stunningly British version of tonight's show. Who should play in 2022? Are we wrong about Sean Tucker, or how were we wrong about Sean Tucker? And mail. But we start with Petty Felix. Petty Felix, we're 8 weeks into the season now, and my esteemed colleagues here, I like to shoot from deep. That's what I like to do. I don't like to, take layups and tout Bijan Robinson or C.J. Stroud, these five-star prospects. I like to shoot from deep. I like to shoot from Steph Curry's territory. And this season I did that with a couple of players. One in particular, he was the number 45 running back in the country when he came out last season. He was a freshman last year. He was the number 627 recruit in the country, the number 45 running back.
This is really petty, by the way.
I haven't even gotten to the point yet. That, of course, is Mayan Williams. Mayan Williams, who 3 weeks into the season led in Ohio State in carries when my colleagues here just said, oh, he wasn't good. Oh, he wasn't good? Well, he outpaced the number 1 running back in the country in Travion Henderson and the number 11 running back in his class, Master Teague. Against Minnesota, 9 for 125 and 1, averaged 13.9 yards per carry. How many carries did Master Teague have? 6.
This is petty.
6. Oregon, 14 for 77. Mayan Williams isn't good. 5 yards a carry.
Is that a good game?
How much? Oh, let's see. Okay. Is that a good game? 14 for 77, average 5.5 yards a carry. Your boy, Travion Henderson, 4.5 yards a carry on 12 carries. Goes out, leads OSU in carries again against Akron with 9. Through 3 weeks, leading Ohio State in carries for someone who wasn't good. I'm shooting from half court. That's a win for me. Now, I don't know what happened after that Akron game.
It's not a win.
I don't know what happened after that Akron game. But when you tout a prospect like that and they end up out carrying Master Teague and Travion Henderson. I call that a swish, Matt Bruning. I call that a swish. And we'll see.
It's just petty. This is just petty.
No. We'll see. He's going to end up transferring to another school, and he's going to be good. You'll see. Let's go from one Williams to the other. All right? You think that's petty? Let's go from one Williams, from Mayan to Jamison. I remember after the first week of the season, first of all, I've been saying that Jamison Williams was good since, I think, November, December of last year, saying he needed more playing time. The guy who can stretch the field. Why wouldn't you want to give more playing time to someone who could score in one play? Oh, no, not Austin. Not Mr. Analytics bow tie guy over there.
This is really petty, Felix. Really petty.
Who called him a boom or bust wide receiver, who he wouldn't start. I think even I said on Coast to Coast that you got to have Jamison Williams in your lineup. What does Austin say? Oh, well, I hope I play against you. Well, Jamison Williams, the number 15 wide receiver on the season in fantasy. Kevin Coleman, in his Devy Stockwatch article today, calls him the most dangerous receiver in the country. Projects him to get second-round draft capital. How you like them apples? Huh?
This is really petty, by the way.
I like to shoot. I like to shoot. I like to shoot from deep, Matt. I like to shoot from deep. So that's all I'm saying. I mean, I just wanted to take a second and get those things off my chest. I mean, if you'd like to respond, go ahead, Matt.
Do we want to respond?
Feel free.
Huh. Go ahead, Austin.
Well, speaking of two Williams, I believe there was a third Williams, Mario Williams, that you said that we have a friendly wager on how many yards he would have this year. He's not even close. He's off the pace. We ain't getting there, Matt. Is there anything else?
Speaking about being petty, how about Isaiah Spiller? He's soft, right? He's soft. That's what Felix said. He's soft. Number one running back in the 2022 class. I'll continue. The only guy, I believe, on our whole website who took Brock Vandergriff in the first round of the C2C mock draft earlier this offseason. You're right. He shoots from deep, all right. He shoots from outside of the court. Go ahead, Austin. Go ahead.
He hates chorizo. That was the most egregious thing I pulled off the Twitter timeline this week. He hates chorizo. I mean, and hot sauce on popcorn.
I know. Hot sauce on popcorn is just horrible.
Come on.
Michael Penix is going to be a good quarterback.
That's excellent, actually.
Michael Pratt is the next Michael Penix. Don't put that on Michael Pratt. He's actually a good quarterback.
I want to save some of the list I have here for the next time we do this segment, but that was fun.
I'm right. I was right. 2 wins, Jamison and Maya Williams. Let's talk about another player who we all were probably too low on, and that is Sean Tucker. Now, week 7 in college football was pretty long, starting with good games on Friday. Very good game between, well, depending on what you call a good game, but between Clemson and Syracuse. And Sean Tucker got pretty much that national primetime spotlight, and people are really starting to take notice. 22 carries for 157 yards against a team that still has some prestige tied to it. He also had 2 for 20 in that game. He's definitely a riser in that 2023 class. 3-part question here, and Austin, will start with you. Where did you originally have Sean Tucker ranked? Where do you have him now? And wherever you had Sean Tucker after his freshman season, what was your justification for not having him higher after that excellent freshman season?
Yeah, I had him in the 40s or 50s overall in my campus to campus Canton rankings, and I don't remember off the top of my head where he was in my Devy rankings, but I know he had a day 3 grade for me, and it wasn't an early day 3 grade. It was probably 5th or 6th round. He's just looked like he has more juice this year than he did last year. Like that's really it. I mean, he looked like a guy that would be at Syracuse for 4 years, would probably put up some really nice numbers there at Syracuse. I don't think that was ever a question mark for him. But he's just looked sharper this year. He looked explosive. That first step has been much more dangerous than it was last year. He's pulling away from defenders. I mean, he's showing a well-rounded skill set. He's not catching a ton of passes, but when he does it, he looks really comfortable. So I mean, just all those things put together, and obviously, once you get 2 years, then you start bumping these guys. I mean, 1 year you think, okay, I mean, maybe there's something there, but 2 years now, there's enough there to start moving some guys up. So yeah, I mean, I was way too low on him. I think he can certainly go at day 2 whenever he decides to come out now.
Yeah, there's not really much to add. I think Austin kind of nailed it on there. I'm pretty sure I was even lower than he was. I probably had him in the 50s coming into the season. I have him at 16 right now, which is right behind, I think, you two. Felix, I think you have him the highest. I want to say I was tied with Alfred having him at 16. But, I mean, he has looked better this year. I mean, I understand he had a good freshman season. What did he have here? I mean, only had 113 yards on. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong thing. I'm looking at his receiving stats here. So rushing, well, I mean, he had 626 yards. I don't know that I would say he was incredible last year, but I agree with Austin. Watching some of his games this year, he definitely looks faster than I thought he was going to be. Has better burst than I remember him having last year. So, I mean, it was definitely a miss on most of our parts. I don't know why you didn't talk about Sean Tucker if you're really that high on him. That's probably a much better hit than Mayan Williams. I don't know why you brought him up in your petty segment there.
Going from deep, shooting from deeper with Mayan Williams. Listen, Sean Tucker was productive once he became the starter in spurts as a freshman, but he still seemed small and not necessarily explosive to me. I know they have him listed at 5'10", 210. I have a hard time believing that he's 5'10", 210.
He's not 5'10".
He seems like he's 5'8", 5'7", and he's sub 200 pounds. So he seemed small for the position. So yes, he was productive, but I'm like, how is this guy going to translate? And now there are these rumors floating around that he ran a 4.22 somewhere in high school. That's not true, because he got hawked down on a long run against Syracuse, a breakaway run. So for a player that size, it seems that they have to be exceptional in the passing game to be productive. I don't know if he's there yet. He was always in my top 20-ish, and so I think I've moved him up somewhere in that range, not too much. But, I still have questions about whether or not he translates. And we're going to get to a point later in the show where we're going to ask another question about Sean Tucker. Let's move on to some other news. Coach O is gone from LSU. Clay Helton gone from USC. We've got 2 jobs open. There are a lot of fantasy relevant players on both of these teams. I mean, from USC, you got Jackson Dart, Michael Trigg, Gary Bryant. I'm not even considering the guys who are going to leave and go to the draft this year. But even with LSU, you got Max Johnson. You've got all of those wide receivers: Deion Smith, Brian Thomas, Kayshon Boutte. Matt, how do you think that this will impact these players, these coaching vacancies?
I mean, obviously it matters on what coach ends up there. There's a lot of talk that who is it that we just talked about the other day? Lane Kiffin. We talked about him possibly going to LSU. If he does, I think that's a great landing spot for him and all those LSU players. Who do they get at USC? I mean, James Franklin going over there. Okay. I mean, he's a really good coach. I think he's done a really good job recruiting for Penn State. Off the top of my head, outside of obviously, I mean, if you got Barkley, Miles Sanders, I don't know that I would consider James Franklin like a great developer of talent, though, and maybe I could be wrong on that. So I don't know how much that helps those guys. I don't know that he's really a QB guy. I mean, he's stuck with Sean Clifford all this time. I mean, he's got Drew Aller coming in this year, but if he leaves, we're not going to see how he helps develop him. I think the one thing that scares me most is for USC is for Jackson Dart, because I think he's good. I know Austin really likes him. If a new coach comes in there, do they stick with Dart or do they possibly go a different direction? They bring in a transfer guy, because there's a chance he may not play the rest of this year with the injury that he's dealing with in his knee. They've got Devin Brown coming in, who I still think is very good. Maybe he decommits and goes somewhere else. So that's my biggest fear is you see these things kind of get shaken up with these new coaches come in. If a James Franklin comes in and maybe he doesn't like Jackson Dart, what does that possibly do for his stock? But like Boutte, I think is safe no matter what. And especially if Lane Kiffin goes to LSU, I think I like all those guys. Maybe even a little bit of a stock up for a guy like Max Johnson if he's able to kind of get under Lane Kiffin's tutelage and start to produce next season.
And 2023 needs some more quarterbacks. And so if Lane Kiffin goes there and can develop Max Johnson, I think that'll be excellent. But ultimately, I think this is going to play a role. I think we're going to see some players transfer. And a player like Kayshon Boutte, are you going to play for a new coach in 2023 where you have just suffered a season-ending injury? We'll talk about that later also. But I think that's a sticking point there is for a player of that level, what's the point at rebuilding under a new coach? Austin, anything to add?
LSU is the one that I think things would be shaken up the most. That whole situation is just amazing. The more and more stuff we hear about that, Ed Orgeron is like hooking up with all these young chicks with kids, and he's like letting them come into practice and freaking play with the team, and just
living his best life.
He could have had the best life a lot longer if he wasn't doing that. So I mean, it sounds like the players didn't really like him. So I think the transfers out will be based on like who comes in more than the fact that he left. What were you guys saying?
I somewhat disagree with what you just said right there, though, because apparently this has been going on for like the past couple years. Nobody was saying anything while LSU was winning. So I think if LSU kept winning, I don't think that anybody, maybe the players still didn't like him. That part I don't know for a fact, but we didn't hear anything about all these women that he's picking up at gas stations and playgrounds and everything else that he's doing until now when he's gotten fired. I know that does sound bad. Now that he's like getting let go, even though he's staying with the program for the next 3 years and helping out, he has to make an appearance every year at the school. Like this whole thing with LSU is weird, but I honestly think if they kept winning, we may not have heard about this.
No, that's possible. But so I mean, Max Johnson, I think gets hurt the worst. I think whatever guy comes, Max Johnson's fine. He's not like some program-altering quarterback. I think the running backs are all in trouble because none of them have really separated themselves. Boutte, I don't know if coach change will dictate whether he plays again or not. And just one other, Devin Brown's supposed to be going to USC. He's shopping around. I guess he likes Clay Helton. He's shopping around. I would actually be shocked if he goes to USC. There's nobody left on the board that's in play that I think would be better than Jackson Dart. So unless you bring in a transfer, and again, Kyle McCord or if one of the Ohio State guys leaves or something like that, I don't know if there's a better transfer on the market. So I don't think it impacts a lot of these guys that much, especially at USC.
Spencer Rattler.
Spencer
Rattler go to you. No, I don't think that he'd be better than Dart. That could really like throw a wrench in things for Dart.
Yeah, I don't know if James Franklin would get along with him either, though. That's the thing with Rattler. You have to consider like his disposition as a person. When
well, one player who is not going to be transferring is the quarterback who unseated Spencer Rattler, and that's Caleb Williams. He has been sensational through 2 starts, absolutely sensational. He continues to open things up for his wide receivers, for the running game, and continues to be an accurate passer that we just didn't see him being, given that he was a 55% completion percentage passer in high school and somewhat erratic and just used that athleticism. But he's been excellent. And the question that all Devy podcasts have been asking this week is if he continues to play like this, does he become the Devy quarterback 1 next season?
Yes. Because if you think about the other guys that would be in contention for that spot, assuming Matt Corral, Sam Howell, and Malik Willis, if people like him for whatever reason, all go to the NFL this year. The other guys that he'd be competing with are Bryce Young, who's only started 3 more games than he has. It's not like we have that much more of a sample size to work with. DJU has been just god awful this year. I don't think he's in contention anymore. And then you got the Jackson Darts, whatever freshman you like, Quinn Ewers, who hasn't played a snap. I mean, there's nobody out there that's an established guy that would be at the top of the draft. So yeah, shoot for the stars. I would take Caleb Williams. I would take him over any quarterback at this point in a Devy draft. Screw it. Shoot for the stars. Go for the upside.
Yeah, I think the only player in contention is Bryce Young. And at this point, you take the rushing upside with Caleb Williams, right? The one thing that scares me, and I haven't had a chance to go back and watch this, so I'm not saying this is what's happening, but we saw this kind of same thing when Jalen Hurts came over. He was not a great passer, didn't have a great completion percentage, comes over to Oklahoma, and all of a sudden looks like he can throw the ball. Now, I will say I've seen a lot better throws from Caleb Williams in 2 games than I did out of Jalen Hurts. And it, specifically the one to Marvin Mims down the sideline, because he was not wide open. That was a perfect throw. But we've seen the way Lincoln Riley can design his offenses at times and get players wide open. I just want to see if Caleb Williams regresses at all next year, because I don't think it's happening this year. I don't think defenses are going to be able to figure him out in time. But, yes, he's got to be the easy 1-1. I think you're overthinking it if you don't take him at the 1 for a quarterback. Or sorry, not 1-1 overall, but the number 1 quarterback.
Question is going to be where does Anthony Richardson play in this conversation with Bryce Young and Caleb Williams? Because at some point, if Anthony Richardson becomes the starter and plays like he has earlier in this season, I'm just saying, is he going to unseat Lincoln Riley's guy?
How many interceptions do you have this year?
But it's gonna be a question, because he can do it with his legs too. All right. Okay. Let's transition here to housekeeping. Austin, listen, we're gonna give you the floor. The floor is yours for whatever you needed to do, whatever housekeeping. Uninterrupted your time, Austin. Here, go ahead.
Okay, so the case against Mayan Williams goes as follows. Let me get up my whiteboard here. Housekeeping. 3 things here for you guys. Saturdays, if you're not joining in with the Campus to Canton crew, we've got you covered all day. First thing in the morning, the tailgate, 10 a.m. to noon. We get you set to start your day, all of your CFF, start sits, prize picks, DFS, betting, all of it. Injury updates, we do it all for those 2 hours for you guys. Then as the day wraps up, at night, we go live with Coast to Coast, and we kind of give an instant reaction to everything that happened during the day. So go check those things out if you have not done so already. You can find all of those here on the Campus to Canton YouTube channel, and on Twitter, all of the other social media places you guys follow us. Prize picks, guys. If you haven't played prize picks yet, player props. Everybody that listens to the show knows player props, even if they don't know that they know player props. So go sign up for prize picks. Promo code C2C gets you an initial deposit match of up to $100. And if you deposit at least $20, you get a free year membership here at Campus to Canton with us.
Wait, what? Hey, what happened? Wait. So you're telling me you can put $100 onto prize picks, and not only do you get match back, so you're getting $100 back, you also get a free subscription to our amazing website, Campus to Canton. $20 in value right there, $30.
That membership's going to win you more money on prize picks too. So I mean,
you're damn right it is, Austin. Why aren't we talking more about this? Come on, get excited. Sorry, really I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Yeah, where's your energy, Austin?
Sorry,
you guys flipped that on me. I've been sick all week, man. I'm trying.
What do you mean flip something on you? There's no script here.
And last, yes, the website subscription, guys. If you haven't checked it out yet, all sorts of tools, articles, access to our Discord, and all sorts of other things beyond that. $2.99 gets you a month. $29.99 gets you a year. So go check all those things out. I believe that's housekeeping.
All right, what's next? Mailbag. These questions came from our Discord, and if you subscribe to that aforementioned website, you can join the Discord and submit questions to Devy Debate that we will answer to the best of our ability. Mostly Austin is gonna answer these questions. The first one is does Matt Corral deserve to win the Heisman even if Ole Miss does not make the playoff? Now, The Athletic currently has Matt Corral leading in their Heisman straw poll with Kenneth Walker number 2, Bryce Young number 3, and Jordan Davis number 4. And just to round out the top 5, Bijan Robinson is the 5th leading point getter. Matt, I'm throwing this to you first. Does this quarterback who's really talented, has been really productive, should he get the Heisman Trophy if Ole Miss ends up playing in some New Year's Day bowl that isn't one of the playoff games?
Yes. Why shouldn't he? I mean, what does the playoffs have to do with the Heisman? Lamar Jackson with Louisville didn't make it to the playoffs, if I'm remembering correctly, and he won a Heisman. Granted, he had like a phenomenal college season, and Corral's not quite putting up those kinds of stats, but it's not connected to that. Johnny Manziel didn't when he won it. Pretty sure Robert Griffin with Baylor didn't. Now Cam Newton did. Mark Ingram did. Did Sam Bradford? I'm pretty sure that they didn't go to the they didn't have the playoffs back then. Pretty sure he didn't go into did they play in the national championship game in 2008? I don't think they did.
I don't remember.
I know Tim Tebow did. I mean, if it really mattered, why did they let Troy Smith keep his when they went into the national championship and got blown out by Florida? It doesn't matter. It's who's having.
That's a good question.
Trust me, it is. It was embarrassing. I don't think it should matter at all. It seems to be the one thing I hate about it. I'm glad that Devonta Smith won it last year when you guys gave me crap about me saying he was going to win it. It seems to become a quarterback award. I'd love to see a guy like Kenneth Walker win it with the season he's having or a defensive player, but Matt Corral is probably having the best season of a quarterback. If Ole Miss only goes on to lose the one game, I don't see why he shouldn't. I mean, he's been amazing this year. He's still, as Austin said, making some interesting throws, but stats-wise and what he's doing with Ole Miss, he's carrying that team. I do think his chances of winning it may get hurt if he does not play this weekend, which it seems is a realistic shot that he won't. I think it'll help him, though, if Ole Miss goes out there and loses badly, because it'll show how much they really rely on Matt Corral. But yes, I don't think if they miss the playoffs, it should affect his Heisman voting one bit.
The Heisman is an absolute joke nowadays. He should not win the Heisman if they don't end up in the playoffs, because the Heisman is supposed to go to the best player on the best team, or that's kind of how we think about it. That's going to be Jordan Davis for Georgia. And symbolically, it should go to somebody on that Georgia defense because they're the best unit in the country, and they're probably the reason why Georgia is favored to win the national championship now. Back whenever Mark Ingram won the Heisman, that was a travesty. He stole the Heisman from Ndamukong Suh, who was the best player in college football this year. And the Heisman folks, the Heisman voters, they owe a defensive player the Heisman. It should absolutely go to Jordan Davis, not Kenneth Walker. Bryce Young, I would be fine if they end up winning the national championship, but I want to see a defensive player. How many years have offensive players won the Heisman? It's just absolutely ridiculous. It's not every season that an offensive player, some quarterback or running back, is the best player in the country. And Ndamukong Suh should have won it. Luke Kuechly should have won it. I have a problem with the way that the way that award is, or who it's awarded to. And so I want to see a defensive player this season, and there is a defensive player deserving of it. Give it to Jordan Davis, and I'll forgive you for not giving it to Ndamukong Suh back when he was ragdolling Colt McCoy at Texas.
Davis's current season isn't anywhere close to what Ndamukong Suh did. So if you didn't give it to Ndamukong Suh, I don't know how you can even put Jordan Davis in the same breath. Ndamukong Suh's last year at Nebraska, he, in 14 games, had 52 solo tackles, 85 total, 20 and a half of them for a loss, and 12 sacks. Plus, he had an interception. This year, in 6 games, so approximately half, Jordan Davis has 18 tackles, 3 for a loss, 1.5 sacks. He's a much more traditional nose tackle than Ndamukong Suh, who was much more of a wrecking ball there. I don't like the Jordan Davis talk is just for hipsters that want to think they sound cool because they have a defensive guy like in their top whatever. He doesn't deserve it at all. And if he does, then this is the worst Heisman field since 1940, when like some guy with like 80 rush yards would win. I mean, it would be a joke if Jordan Davis won. And I think he's an exceptional player, but he's no Heisman.
Yeah, I didn't mean to laugh at that until like you read off his stats compared to Ndamukong Suh.
They're not even close.
Yeah, it's bad.
You call me a hipster?
No. I mean, yeah, I guess so. Just to answer your question, Felix, you got to go back 24 years to your guy, Charles Woodson. That was the last technically defensive player to win the Heisman. It's
Who
been
I've
nothing
met, by the way.
but
Of course I've
quarterbacks
met
and
the
running
Michigan
backs.
man, Charles Woodson, the GOAT. The GOAT. Used to dominate David Boston. Get all in David Boston's head.
Was that pre-steroid David Boston?
That was Priest. He was probably taking him there at Ohio State too. You know how they do. All right. I forgot. I've missed a segment here, Austin. Are we ready for that, or do I need to filibuster and
You're good.
do
Whenever
something
you
else?
You don't want to finish the mailbag?
Yeah, I mean, we should probably finish the segment we're on. You know?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Let's go straight to the Discord because I have not pulled those questions from the Discord. Here, this is from Luke Probasco. Luke is always watching. Which position do the other? We've talked about this before. Which you guys do rankings, but which position do the others think you scout well? Example, we have to compliment each other here, which is going to be hard.
I quit.
Matt, why don't you start?
I think that I've already said this before. We talked about this. We just did our 2022 freshman running backs. I think Austin does a very good job scouting running backs. I know he says that I think, if I'm remembering correctly, Austin says that he likes or he does a better job scouting wide receivers, but I want to compliment him on his job doing running backs as well. I think he does a very good job scouting running backs. Felix, I mean, I like to say that you're good at scouting wide receivers, but God, some of the wide receivers you tout are just god awful, so it's kind of hard to say that. But I will say I think you're pretty good at all of them too, outside of quarterback. I mean, golly, Zach Wilson. So I think you're pretty good at.
You mean the number 2 pick in the NFL draft, Zach Wilson, that guy?
I mean, if a decent franchise drafted him, maybe I'd believe in him. But we'll just get past that for now. So
I think you guys. I mean, I take you guys' advice on most players that you tout. When I'm in my drafts, and if Matt Bruning is highlighting Calvin Austin, that's somebody I'm going to pay attention to in drafts. I don't know that there's a particular position that I would put in front of either in front of another. When you guys talk about a player, we make fun of each other on here, but we definitely have a lot of respect for each other. All right, Austin, please finish this.
Oh, I thought you guys were going to forget about
god-awful.
Oh, man.
No. This god-awful question.
I mean, I think nobody scouts quarterback well. Like, I'm not taking like us, like nobody on the planet scouts quarterback well, like in air quotes. So, but I think we all do a good job. A pretty even job on everything. I think Matt's been really good with receivers lately. But before I was always like, well, Matt's like nailing these running backs, like Khalil Herbert, he really liked. So like, I don't really know what to choose. And Felix, obviously, you're just the best at finding guys that no one's talking about yet, for better or for worse. I think that's your best.
That's definitely
your best thing.
Stick.
Yeah.
So all right, that was way too touchy feely on that question. No,
Mayan Williams is not a hit. There we go. We're back on track.
All right. This is from. We're going to take another one from Luke and Matt. This is for you and Austin because you guys have already dug into 2022. The freshman class of 2022. Who is your number one incoming freshman at each position? If you can give a quarterback, running back, and wide receiver that you are really clamoring for, because when the spring comes, we're going to be doing freshman drafts, and never a bad time to get an early start on looking at those names.
Yeah, I think this is fairly easy for two positions. It's Drew Aller at quarterback and Jadon Blue at running back. I mean, I can listen to the argument on Branson Robinson, but for me, it's Jadon Blue. I don't think there's anybody. It would be Quinn and Drew, but Quinn is obviously now gone. Wide receiver, for me, it's been DJ Allen. He's a guy that I really like. I don't know who Austin has at wide receiver, so I'm actually intrigued to hear what he has to say, but I like DJ Allen a lot. I will give Austin the props on he's comped him. He said that he sees a lot of Antonio Brown in him, and I agree with him on that assessment. I think the only thing that scares me about DJ Allen is going to TCU, because that just that scares me with them developing him, but I really like him as a player.
Yeah, Aller and Blue. Blue. Oh man, how do I put this? So of the top running back in the past three classes, I would put them Bijan, Blue, and Travion Henderson in that order as they exited high school. Blue, more than the other two though, is the most natural runner I've ever seen come out of high school. He just has that feel for where blockers, where to set up blockers second and third level, when to cut, what move to make. He's got very soft hands. I mean, he's just a natural player. Same for Drew Aller. He just the arm talent is just bizarrely good. Receiver, I don't have like a receiver that I love in this class. I think it's actually a fairly weak class at wide receiver. Give me Talon Shetron maybe as a guy who's going to Oklahoma State. He's like 6'3", he's big, fast, and kind of the prototypical Oklahoma State wide receiver. So I think it's a nice fit with skill set. So I really like him there, and he might play as a freshman and be really good for them. DJ Allen's number 2 for me, though. So,
all right, this one from Kev07, and I'm pretty sure Kev07 is listening to us from overseas. He's listed some of the 2022 running backs. So Breece Hall, Isaiah Spiller, Kyron Williams, Jerome Ford, Sincere McCormick, Zamir White, Kenneth Walker. I'll let you take any one or two of these guys that you guys want. But the question is what is the best landing spot for these guys and why?
Ooh. It's one of those times that I wish you'd throw that in the show sheet so I have a second to think about that.
Kyron would be great in Tampa. Kyron Williams would be great in Tampa with Tom Brady. Tom Brady would freaking love Kyron Williams. We'd get all sorts of buddy videos with him and Kyron because Kyron can pass protect and he can catch passes very, very well. So that's a big one. I actually think Jerome Ford would be really good in Seattle. He kind of seems like their kind of running back, and they have Carson, and then it's Rashad Penny who can't stay healthy. I mean, you have Collins, no offense to Alex Collins, he's kind of a jag. So I mean, I think he'd be good there.
Is it time to find a successor to Dalvin Cook, Aaron Jones, any of these guys who are
not
25, 26?
I think Green Bay feels like they have their successor.
Yeah, and Dylan, I agree.
Or Hill. I mean, I think they like both those guys.
Well, yeah, I think, but they always use those guys in tandem. I mean, go back to Jamal Williams and Aaron Jones. I would really like to see Isaiah Spiller in Miami. I think he could be a good fit there. Now, granted, who knows what happens with the quarterback with all the rumors on the trade here with Tua and Deshaun Watson, but Miami needs a running back in the worst way, and I think Isaiah Spiller, with the way he can create behind the line of scrimmage a little bit, would be a good fit there because that offensive line isn't great. I was trying to think of somewhere for Breece Hall. I mean, I think one of these guys is likely going to land in Houston because all of their running backs, I think, are the average age of like 30 outside of Phillip Lindsay. But I don't know that I would hate to see Breece Hall go there because I love Breece Hall so much. But, I mean, there's not a lot of teams that need running backs. Atlanta's one that needs one. Seattle, as you mentioned, if they grab one. But San Francisco's set. The Rams right now, once Akers comes back, if he's healthy, he's set. Arizona needs one. I mean, there's not a lot of teams. Maybe Las Vegas, because I don't think Josh Jacobs is – I've never really been a big fan, and I think he's, for whatever reason, due to all the injuries he suffered in his legs, maybe already on the downslide here. So there's not a lot of teams I think need a lot of running backs, which is probably a good thing because this class is not great overall.
I was just thinking that. I mean, I'm looking at – I would not be surprised if we went through 2 rounds of the NFL draft and only one of these names was called. And you saw, maybe 1 or 2 called – in the 3rd round, and then a lot of these guys end up becoming day 3 guys. I mean, I don't even know if Breece Hall is a day 1. I don't think that he's a day 1 guy.
No, I don't think anybody gets going. I think Hall and Spiller get drafted in the 2nd round because of Hall's production.
I still think Kyron Williams could potentially be the most fantasy relevant out of all of these players because of what Austin identified. I mean, he's going to, and if he goes to a team with a good offensive line, then he could be absolutely fine as a rusher. But we know he has the wide receiver background, and he can actually take linebackers' heads off in the pass blocking game.
Matt said something about that a couple weeks ago, I think.
Yeah,
you and Felix got in a little bit of a war of words about that.
We got into a war. You called him a faller, and I said I don't. Yeah. I said I don't see why.
No, I did. I said that because
I thought it was the opposite.
No. Felix was on the opposite side of things. I said that I think because of how bad he's looked rushing the ball this year that he may fall. I didn't say he was going to be like a 4th or 5th round pick. I just
Mom and Dad were fighting, and I just went into my happy place.
yeah.
So
no, but see, that's the thing. Just real quick on Kyron, if he goes to Tampa Bay, I don't know that he's going to be successful with the other 8 running backs they have on their roster. I mean, he's better than Keyshawn Vaughn, but Leonard Fournette ain't going anywhere yet. Rojo's gone. But I don't know that he goes in there. Do they cut Giovanni Bernard? Because I think he's still on a 2-year contract. So, I mean, it's if he goes there, maybe he's the guy. I don't believe in Tampa Bay's offensive line, but I agree with you that he'd be the perfect fit for Brady.
Where would you want Kenneth Walker to go, guys? Who is like the riser in this class?
Las Vegas. I think he's he can be just like what Josh Jacobs is, except maybe a little bit of a better runner, in my opinion.
We done
outside of that? I mean, what's up?
Anything else with that one?
No, sorry. I know you want to you want to move on to the other million Discord questions. Sorry, apologize.
No, that's actually it. I just wanted to keep it moving in general. So, are we ready for? We've only got one Devy debate, and we've got one segment to get to before we get to our Devy debate. So, are we ready for that one segment? All right,
sure.
Go ahead. All right, it's my favorite segment of the show now. It is Austin Nace's lukewarm take. Take it away, Austin.
So we all know that Clemson has struggled this year. I think to put it that way is probably underselling a little bit. A lot of close wins here, and a couple of bad losses as well. They come into Pittsburgh this weekend to take on a ranked Pitt team that is a 2.5-point favorite. Guys, Pitt's going to beat Clemson. The ranked Pitt team is going to beat unranked Clemson at home this week, and they're going to cover that 2.5-point spread, folks. That is the lukewarm take of the week. Unranked Clemson loses to a ranked team. Boom.
I still feel like that's a little bit spicy. You know what I mean?
I don't.
I
think you're just stating a fact. So maybe that is a lukewarm take. I don't think Clemson has any shots. So
you placed. I mean, you've given us a wet fish in our lap, and it's just like I don't even know what to.
Like I was really expecting you to just like come out here and be like, guys, Bryce Young, he's good. He's gonna pass for like 200 yards this week and probably 3 touchdowns and continue to be a top 5 Heisman favorite, and then just kind of you're welcome. Like that's what I thought you were coming with.
I like the sub-segment of this segment is us telling Austin how to improve his lukewarm take.
I tried.
All right. Lukewarm take is over. And, Matt and I don't have any bold takes, but we'll have some next week, or we won't. Then we'll just
I have a bold take. I'll give you one really quick. You want to hear it?
I don't think you should. No,
I do.
I don't think
I do.
CJ Stroud struggles against Indiana. There you go. Bold take done. It's going to happen.
All of your takes revolve around Kyle McCord, don't they? It's like,
I mean, hey, look at all the draft talk Caleb Ellaby's getting. Kyle McCord's better. See, you've got him going to Western Michigan. I'm all for it, baby. Let's go.
All right, boys. Are we ready for the Devy debates?
Let's do it.
It's just one Devy debate. And we're really focusing on this highly touted 2023 class. And we've talked about some of the top players in this class potentially not playing in 2022. So I want to know, I've got a list of, 7 names here. I want to know, should these players play in 2022 or opt out? Let's start with the one right at the top. I feel like this is easy. Kayshon Boutte, Austin. Should he play in 2022 or should he opt out?
This is like the quickest turnaround I've ever had on an opinion, where 2 weeks ago on this show, I said that he definitely should. And now, no, like so much has changed there. No, he shouldn't. And there's nobody even close to him in that class. So.
Yeah, I agree. He's secured first draft. He's secured top 5 draft capital. No, sit out.
Welcome to the bandwagon, boys. It's only what I've been saying for a long time.
I don't think I'm staying long, but thanks for the welcome.
Well, let's see with all of these names. Michael Mayer, the dynamic tight end out of Notre Dame. He is easily the tight end one for that 2023 class. He's probably the tight end one for all of Devy right now. I think he absolutely is. Number two, I think a tier break in number two would be Brock Bowers. Should Michael Mayer play in 2022?
Yes, he should. I don't think he's secured first he's probably secured second round draft capital with as good as he's been. He's secured first round draft capital. Michael Mayer?
You guys don't think Michael Mayer is a first round draft pick yet?
No.
Assuming that he plays, yeah, I think he is. I think if he sat out, I think he might barely squeak in at the end of the round, kind of like, and I'm not comping them as players, but like Heath Miller was like the 31st overall pick or something when he came out of Virginia. Like that would be the range. I don't think he would go where some people think he could as like a top 10, 15 guy.
Well, you know what? We're going to have to ask this question again at the end of the season. Michael Mayer had been banged up a little bit, but I think he is back this week, and they take on USC. So that's going to be a big-time game in a kind of a slate that doesn't have as many, big games. So we're going to be paying attention to that one. I don't know. It depends on how he plays. And that's going to be – I'm going to have to reserve my answer. Bijan Robinson, he busted out at the end of his freshman season and is having a dynamic sophomore season. Austin, should Bijan Robinson play in 2022?
No, because they don't have anybody else there really to rotate with him. Now, they do have Jadon Blue coming in this year, who, I think is capable, more than capable of doing that as a true freshman. But Sark just keeps giving him touches. And if we're going to talk, Gary Patterson, after that TCU Texas game, someone asked him, why aren't you running Zach Evans more? And he said, well, he was like, oh, we don't want to be giving him so many touches, like saying like Sark's running Bijan into the ground over across the other sideline there. So yeah, I think Bijan should sit out unless Sark promises him, we're only going to give you max 15 touches a game.
I mean, for that reasoning, I could see him sitting out. I just worry what that would do for his draft capital. I know he's like a phenomenal running back, and he's probably still going to be the top running back drafted in 2023. Probably. But if he sits out an entire year, I could see some NFL teams looking at that sideways. We've already he's the guy that I think could get a first-round draft. Like, he could secure first-round draft capital if he plays next year. I don't think he does if he sits out. I don't. I think he falls to the second round.
I think we're past that. I mean, we've had Micah Parsons, we've had Jamar Chase, and they sat out, and they were, both top picks.
Though.
And what's different about it? I mean, it's a high contact, high injury potential position. He should absolutely, you said it, he's secured being the number one back in the class. There's no reason for him to risk injury, especially since running backs don't get first round draft capital anyway. I don't see him falling out of the second round. He's not going to be a day 3 pick or a third round pick if he sits out 2022. Whatever his draft capital is going to be, I don't think it's going to improve if he plays next year. So he should absolutely sit out and not risk injury.
For what it's worth, go ahead, Matt.
I was just going to say the difference is COVID. That's the difference. That it's not you cannot look at what happened last year into this. He's sitting out for a completely different reason. I'm not saying that the argument is not sound for him wanting to sit out if that's the reasoning, but I do think NFL teams are going to look at that differently than a guy who sat out because of COVID. There is a difference.
We'll see. I think the way Jamar Chase has played is a reason that teams would not fade a player who decides to opt out before they become draft eligible.
I don't think we know yet, and I think that's the part of it, because I think the players had the COVID. That is so stupid. It's like the COVID crutch, yeah, where they could say I opted out because of COVID, and now you have to admit that the only reason you opted out is because you're looking ahead and trying to preserve yourself as much as possible. And that is that's more of a me thing. I'm not saying that's necessary, but like we have not tested these two hypotheses against each other yet, because we have not had the chance to test these two hypotheses against each other yet.
I want to jump to a name here, Sean Tucker. And the reason why he's leading the country in rushing right now, I don't think Sean Tucker is not a first-round draft pick. He's probably not a second-round running back. How much could he improve his draft stock by playing next season and having a similar season to what he had this year? Probably not much. That's just my opinion. And so I would say, listen, I'm always going to side with these players sitting out once they've secured draft capital. And I would put Sean Tucker in the 3rd, 4th round range, somewhere in there. And I don't see him improving on that. So sit out, don't risk injury, and declare for the 2023 NFL draft. Austin Nace, what say you?
First, I'll say that I'm not even sure he's a 3-year guy. Sean Tucker might be a 4-year guy. I know they say that, the NFL finds talent wherever, and Syracuse isn't like, Backwoods State University that's in D3 or anything, but they're not traditionally pumping out a ton of high-end offensive talent, at least not in the past few years. Look, here's actually a scenario. Let's say that Bijan opts out next year, Zach Evans opts out, a couple of these guys opts out. If he plays, he would have the chance to possibly be the best 2023 eligible back actually playing in games. So I think there might be some sort of cat and mouse game there where if you're a Sean Tucker, you kind of hold off and wait to see what everybody else does. And then you can kind of make a decision based on that.
See, I kind of agree with Austin there because he's not jumping Bijan. He's not jumping Evans. He's not jumping Gibbs. Could he jump Tank, especially with as bad as Tank's playing right now? I don't know that you can't say that he wouldn't. I get what you're saying, Felix, and I don't disagree with if he opted out. It probably doesn't maybe he can't improve his draft capital. I still think until we see it, opting out can hurt your draft capital. And a guy like him, I think it can hurt. Because
it comes off as presumptuous, I think.
Exactly. And I mean, we look at a guy like Kenneth Gainwell, who produced massively in college, and we heard people saying not getting to see that last year of him in college hurt his draft stock. He's produced probably better than Sean Tucker has.
They're very similar players, though. What was Kenneth Gainwell taking? What in the 4th? They're similar players.
Fifth round.
Their size, fifth round. In the way I would expect them to be used at the NFL level, and so that's kind of what I'm saying is that. So I guess if Kenneth Gainwell played, would he have improved his draft stock?
That's what NFL people were saying at the time. I don't know about 2, but maybe 3. But that's a big difference, especially in the money. So there's certain guys like Bijan. I get the argument for he probably doesn't hurt his stock that much, but I do think a guy like Sean Tucker, who, like Austin said, if he goes out there with a bunch of guys opt out, he's the guy we're talking about all season, going out there producing, looking good. Maybe he does jump up into that round 3 instead of being a round 5 or 6 guy because he doesn't play. And so everybody's like, oh, well, we know what he did his freshman and sophomore year, but then he opted out. We don't know if he would have improved at all because just like Isaiah, he doesn't make the jump that Isaiah Spiller has, but what we talked about earlier in the episode, for what we saw in freshman season and sophomore season, he looked better. What if he takes another jump next season and looks even better as a junior?
I want to there's one player on this list that I absolutely think must play, and that's the aforementioned Zach Evans. Because of Zach Evans' high school track record, his shaky recruiting, committing to I forgot who he committed to before he went to TCU. I think that he has to
Bama,
whoever it was. I think that he has to show that he is a team player. And so I just don't see, and one, that he's a team player, and 2, putting together really good seasons back to back. And so I don't see him opting out. If he's getting good advice from an agent or someone else, I don't see him opting out before declaring to the NFL draft. I would assume that we're going to be all in agreement for the same kind of reasons. My presumption accurate?
Yes.
Probably.
What's the hesitation, Austin?
On Zach Evans?
Yeah.
I think, and I always which we talk about this on the C2C pod a decent amount about kind of making a distinction between like a real knucklehead and someone that's just been immature in the past. And it seems like Zach Evans is more immature and less knucklehead. Eric Gilbert seems like a knucklehead to me. Zach Evans seems immature. and it's kind of one of those, it when you see it type deals. I don't think NFL teams are even considering that really at this point. Like, I think it's just over. It's behind him.
Gotcha. All right. Let's do these really quick. Bryce Young, I think that he's gonna be competing for the playoffs. He sticks around, and as a quarterback, quite frankly, we want to see those players get more reps, and they're being protected. So Bryce Young plays. Everyone's in agreement there. Jackson Smith-Njigba, who's having a really good season for Ohio State, because he didn't do it as a freshman, he still needs to do it for another season to kind of secure draft. I don't know what he's going to be. I don't think we've seen a ceiling yet. For Bijan Robinson, for Michael Mayer, for Kayshon Boutte, we've seen these players' ceilings, and quite frankly, I don't think that they can improve their draft stock. Jackson Smith-Njigba absolutely can, and so I would say that he needs to play at least another season before he declares. Yes?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
He's going to be the one next year. Yes, absolutely.
Yep. All right, everyone's in agreement there. Anything else, boys, before we close it out?
Should Julian Fleming opt out?
I thought he already did.
That's going to be it for us tonight. Of course, you need to check out all the content around the Campus to Canton family. Apologies to Kirk Herbstreit. We ran out of time. We'll get him rescheduled soon. For Matt Bruning and Austin Nace, I'm Felix Sharp. Good night and good luck. I'm exhausted. I got to. Anything else you guys want to talk about? I like being able to change the name now that I know how to do that.
Only took 56 episodes.
You figured it out. Okay.
I did.
Oh yeah, I didn't do it. Yeah.
Well, I guess that makes sense because I assumed you probably wouldn't have done the one that's on you.
Yeah.
Western Michigan University.
Yeah,
okay.
That guy. That's good. That's good.
So Matt, you're going to drive on Saturday? More on Saturday?
You can if you want. It doesn't matter to me. I host 3 shows a week.
I'm excited. I'm excited that I get to be on.
As long as it's not Colin.
I also we didn't talk about Braylon Allen like we said we would.
Oh shit!
Yeah. That's all right. I mean, I don't know what to say about him yet. I didn't really watch much of that Army game this past week. I haven't seen enough of him yet to know if he's like what's the opposite of like a victim of circumstance, a beneficiary of circumstance. Like I don't know if there's another more clever phrase for it or not. Like because Jalen Berger felt like that last year. Like he was the beneficiary of.
And you said you didn't like him all along. I just can't believe that Graham Mertz is not playing like the way he's playing. He's still not doing well. But every once in a while, there's a throw that he's making. I'm like, yes, that's it right there. But what did he? I think he had only less than 200 yards passing against Army. Let's see here. He has 2 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. There's no way. He had 112 yards passing. Jesus Christ, I gotta move him down.
What was his rushing looking like though?
He did. I thought he had 5. He had more than Carson Strong. He had 5 carries for 14 yards.
Boom.
And 2 touchdowns.
Oh.
Man, I'm dropping him right now in the rankings.
I don't even think he's rosterable in the C2Cs anymore.
Oh, I don't think so.
What are you getting out of him? Like nothing now and nothing later.
No. Right. You never know. I mean, he might develop. I still think the tools are there. He just doesn't have.
It's just Wisconsin, man. He needs a transfer.
Where do I have him right? I know I moved him down, but I don't know how far down.
Felix, you have Talia Tagovailoa really high. Why?
Hold on.
I meant to ask you that the other day. You have him as like your QB 13 or something.
I have him as QB 13. I do.
Like above, like there's a couple guys beneath him that I was like, what the fuck?
Ben Daniels,
like some guys that you really like that you had below him too. I was like, I didn't even know Felix liked Talia Tagovailoa at all.
I've always had him up there.
I guess I did not notice that.
You have him at 35. You have Mertz at 31, Felix. You don't have him that far.
Yeah, I moved him down. He was in my top. God,
I need to update my ranks.
Like you have Talia above Stroud, who like at minimum is going to score you 30 points a week in college the next year and a half.
Yeah, I kind of thought that Talia could be that type of player, to be honest. Wow, I'm really taking. Whatever happened to Cornelius Brown? Is he injured?
I think he's dead, man. They got Darren Granger playing quarterback now. Like I don't know what happened to him. He hasn't been good all year. Like his stats are bad.
When I was in Atlanta, I drove past that school and I was like, "Oh, that's not just identify." I drove past like 10 schools. There are so many schools in Atlanta, so many colleges. Some of them don't have football teams, but I drove past a whole bunch of schools, and I drove past Georgia State.
You have some guys like you have Michael Pratt 34 and you have Talia 13. Like there were just some that I was like, I thought he really liked this guy, but he has him like that much lower than Talia. I don't know. I guess I've just never heard you talk about little tags.
Right. Yeah, did we not all have him that high?
I don't think he's ever cracked top 25 for me.
Oh, I got Spencer Sanders. He needs to drop.
When are we doing our next rankings update? Because I'm pretty sure I missed the last one.
It'll be after
the last one. Alfred has missed the last one.
I mean, so have I.
It'll be this.
I've been moving mine as I can, but it's hard to. It is. I mean, there are certain players like I got to move that player, and I'll go do it. But it's really the players that I need to move down that's a little bit harder because the players who are playing well, it's kind of right in my mind. But you really have to go through.
All of them. Yeah, that's what. See, I move guys up and don't pay attention because, like, I still have Mertz in the 20s. It's because I move people up, but I haven't moved. I've never moved him back down. It's just kind of because I can't remember who it was. We were talking about Preston Stone in the rankings chat the other day with Colin. He's like, "Yeah, someone has him at like, I think I had him at like 60 something." I was like, "No, there's no way." I was, oh shit, I still have him sitting at 60. I hadn't gone in there. And updated
that's
my
for
ranks.
a good freshman backup quarterback. I don't have a problem with. You think that's too high?
No, not Preston Stone. Then my bad. It's Mordecai because of how he was. playing.
Tanner Mordecai.
Yeah. I hadn't moved him up after the way he was playing. I just kind of forgot about it. I was busy moving other people around.
I got Tanner Mordecai right at 60. Right at 60. So let's see.
I've got him at 35.
I don't know where I moved him after he brought that to my attention. I don't know where I put him though. I'm gonna get my NFL rankings done.
Oh, Dustin Crum has to fall down.
He's been bad this year.
Tanner Mordecai has what, 1 season left or 2?
He could play another year. Yeah. I don't know what that situation is going to look like. Because, they brought in Preston Stone, the highest rated recruit in school history. He's a local kid. Like, I don't know what that's going to look like. He should transfer to TCU. That'd be pretty dope.
That would be. Oh, Quentin Johnson,
get Zach
DJ
Evans,
out.
Preston
Oh,
Stone.
Man. Golly.
Party.
That would be.
I'll have all the quarterbacks ranked.
I don't know why I agreed to do these NFL rankings. It's the bane of my existence.
The weekly ones?
Yes.
I don't know how anybody does weekly rankings. Like,
it's not fun.
That's a skill that I don't have, or like I don't have the wherewithal, like the know-how.
I have them. It's just. And I feel like I'm about to sound like Felix here. I hate this drag drop shit. I really just prefer to type the number in and go. Because I'm so used to just typing the number of where I want them in and hitting enter and then sorting at the end because I can search through, find the guys. This moving. Well, okay. I like it for the college side of things because we have so many players, but for the weekly rankings, like right now with 17 or whatever, how many NFL teams are on bye, like I have to go through and delete all of the quarterbacks, all the running backs, all of the wide receivers who are on a bye and then drag them all the way down to the bottom. That shit's annoying. It is annoying to have to do that every single week.
You have a hard life. Has anyone ever told you that?
No, because I live like a king. I don't know what you're talking about. All right, let's see here. Who did I have at 11?
It's probably not good. It's probably not great.
Down. I got to keep moving Anthony Richardson up. 16 isn't high enough.
What's not great?
This is not great, like video content.
Oh.
We're like,
because we're all updating I'm updating rankings, and so is
that's exactly what I'm doing.
I'm just
no
on a
screen share.
No, it's fine. This isn't the show. Who cares? This isn't the show.
I'm on a completely different screen, so I'm not paying attention to what's going on.
So, I don't know where Anthony Richardson is going to go in startups next year. I mean, I think I have an idea.
He's going to be my
like
Troy O'Meary this year.
I think I'm going to be shocked the first one I do. And then I'm just going to be like, okay, fuck it. Like, he's just never going to like that. The plan that's never happening.
I think he's gonna be the Corral of this year. Go 3rd to 5th round somewhere.
I think somebody will take him earlier than that. Like,
you think so? I don't think anybody will take him in the first. I think a lot of people are going to pivot off taking quarterbacks in the first after what happened this year. Seeing those 5 QBs going off the board in like the first 6 picks. I think a lot of people are going to bail.
It's going to make early QB a value.
Yeah.
I'm going to go QB in all my drafts.
This year, July 21st, 2020, Austin putting out a 5-part series on why you should take QBs in the first round.
I said this is not a every year strategy.
Well, I mean, I think Bryce Young and Caleb Williams are locked in, right? They're the 2 that are locked in first round picks. But who else are you putting in there?
I must be looking at something wrong.
I think I would take CJ Stroud in the first 2 rounds, assuming that he continues kind of on the trajectory that he's on to end the season.
Yeah.
Because he's going to score a shit ton of points. And if he does it again, he's going to get drafted early. I mean,
it depends on what happens these next couple weeks. Like, they actually play good defenses these next couple weeks. Like, that's why, like, I'm staying off the Twitter debates with those people, because I'm like, you guys realize that he's doing that shit against like fucking Rutgers. Like, let's calm down. Let's see him actually go up. If he does it this week against Indiana and then Penn State the week after that, then I'm with you. And I agree with what the people are saying, that Quinn may not win the starting job next year. They may keep CJ in there, but I want to see him do it against some good defenses before I just say he's back, or he is what everybody thought he was going to be when he kicked off the season.
I'm already trying to debate in my head how early I'll take Drew Aller in drafts.
6th round, 8th round. Take him that.
I like him more. Well, I mean, excluding Quinn Ewers, I like him more than any quarterback in this year's class. I'm pretty sure, as a high schooler. I didn't think this year's class was very good. Obviously, Caleb Williams kind of gave me the double fingers on that already, but
yeah.
I mean, Ty Thompson, Drake May, like any of the, like, I don't think any of the, Sam Heward, like, I like those guys, but I don't like love them. Buchner.
Yeah. I like May. I'm excited to see what he does next year. But I don't know that he'll get drafted. Yeah. I don't know. He got drafted. I feel like he got drafted fucking high this year.
Peace.
A lot of those guys did. You out?
Okay, bye, Felix.
I can cut the video. I'm not on that screen, so.